Episode 71M. Tan Hua only nodded her head as she walked quickly out of Nanshin's room. She really had to escape as fast as she could, or she couldn't hold back her laughter. Nanshen's reaction when she was acting angry was truly amusing. Tan Hua's house. A message? Tan Hua had just finished bathing in a good mood and was about to go to sleep when she noticed her phone screen blinking. An incoming message at this hour? It was already midnight. Tan Hua quickly opened her phone, thinking it might be Nanshen who wanted to apologize again. But what she saw wasn't Nanshen's contact, but Lan Yanjin's contact instead. Tan Hua, your mom invited you to visit her house tomorrow. How is it? You can take a week off from your office. Your mom won't have time to invite you again, so you better think about this carefully. Good night. Tan Hua frowned after reading the message. She slowly climbed into her bed and lay down while still holding the phone in her hand. Visiting her biological mother's house, huh? She didn't think Lan Yanjin would lie to her since her mother had also mentioned the same before. But this was too sudden. Well, she could just refuse the invite, but thinking again, she didn't have anything important to do for a week ahead. Should she just say yes? She kind of wanted to see her stepbrother and her stepfather. Yes or no? Tan Hua shut her eyes as she thought hard. This kind of invite wouldn't come soon in the future, so when she had the chance, she might as well agree. After all, she was also curious about her biological mother's family there. Okay, let's agree then. Tan Hua had decided to visit her mother's house, so she hurriedly grabbed her phone and typed a reply to Lan Yanjin's message. Yanjin, I agreed to visit mom's house. Tan Hua stared at the screen, waiting for Lan Yanjin's reply. Her heart was beating fast since she felt a bit nervous about going to her biological mother's house. There, she would meet her stepbrother and stepfather. How could she not feel nervous at all? Ting! When Tan Hua was staring at her phone screen without blinking, a new message suddenly came to her inbox with a notification sound ringing throughout her silent room. Copy that. We will depart at 1 p.m. tomorrow. I'll pick you up, so prepare clothes for a 3-day trip. We will visit Europe. A message from Lan Yanjin came a minute after Tan Hua sent her reply. The message was short, but it contained all the information Tan Hua needed. Europe. It had been a while since she visited Europe. This world was, after all, similar to her old world, just the customs were different. I should tell Shenling about this. Tan Hua sighed as she thought that Shenling needed to know about her departure tomorrow. It was a bit sudden to depart tomorrow, but she was sure Shenling wouldn't mind. Go to Europe for 3 days with Lan Yanjin to visit your biological mother's house? Shenling raised one of his eyebrows as he sipped his coffee when Tan Hua came to the living room to tell Shenling about this. Yes. Can I? I'll take 3 days off from the office too. Tan Hua sat down on the sofa across from Shenling as she stared into his eyes, hoping he would allow her. She blinked her puppy-like eyes, trying to coax Shenling so he would let her go. Shenling had become her guardian since Tan Hui passed away, and so when she wanted to go somewhere far away, she needed to tell Shenling about it, or else he would surely scold her later. Please let her go. All right, but keep in touch with me, okay? Shenling sighed, seeing Tan Hua's expression. This girl obviously wanted to go. He knew that Tan Hua must be curious about her host body's biological family. What could he do when the girl looked so eager to go? He was weak against her puppy eyes. Okay, no wonder Nanshen looked at her as if looking at a cute golden retriever. Now he also looked at this girl like that. Anyway, this was also a good way to put some distance between Tan Hua and Nanshen for a while. He preferred Tan Hua with Lan Yanjin instead. Just let those two build their connection in Europe so Tan Hua could forget about Nanshen. Lan Yanjin deserved Tan Hua more than Nanshen, that ungrateful person. Really? Yeah. Thank you. Shenling, love you. I'll message Nanshen to ask for 3 days off from the office. Hearing Shenling's answer, Tan Hua's eyes brightened as she happily jumped off the sofa, about to hug Shenling, when she suddenly stopped, realizing her action had been a bit too forward. Ehem. Go upstairs to pack now. Shenling waved his hand awkwardly when Tan Hua almost hugged him. This girl was too relaxed around him. It's true that he was a god, not a human, but currently, he was still using a male human form. This girl lacked awareness. All right. Tan Hua quickly ran up the stairs with a bright smile. She had been wanting to use this opportunity to relax in Europe. Hopefully, while she was away for 3 days, Nanshen would somehow miss her or something. If that happened, how wonderful it would be. Boss, let me take 3 days off from the office. I have to go to Europe to visit my mother's house there. Upon arriving at her room, Tan Hua immediately sent a message to Nan Shen. She deliberately didn't mention when or with whom she was going to Europe. Let Nan Shen be curious about this. When? A second later, as if Nan Shen had been holding his phone all along, a short message came to Tan Hua's inbox. Oh, he replies so fast, Tan Hua thought, smiling to herself as she typed again, not realizing that the corner of her lips was raised. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Nan Shen, who was relashing in his bedroom, subconsciously frowned when he saw the message coming from Tan Hua. Tomorrow? Isn't that too sudden? With Xinling? Nan Shen didn't want to fuss over Tan Hua's personal matters, and since the girl wanted to visit her mother, how could he reject her now? But somehow, he was curious about with whom this girl was going. It should be with Xinling. With Lan Yanjin. Tan Hua giggled softly as she replied to Nan Shen's message. She didn't expect the man to ask her with whom she was going, but he surprisingly did. The fish had already eaten the bait. Ba-thump. The moment Tan Hua said that she would go with Lan Yanjin instead of Xinling, Nan Shen's heart skipped a beat. His finger, which was about to type, froze in the air as his face turned dark. What? Going to Europe with Lan Yanjin? That's just too absurd. Why do you need to go with Lan Yanjin? Nan Shen quickly replied to Tan Hua, gritting his teeth in irritation. That fox, Lan Yanjin, wouldn't take Tan Hua to her mother's house just like that. He must want to take her somewhere else. If his guess was right, this man must be planning to win Tan Hua's heart. It was so obvious that Lan Yanjin had feelings for her. Why can't I? His mother is a good friend of my mom anyway. This isn't your business, right, boss? Tan Hua licked her lips excitedly as she pressed the send button on her phone. Now the fish had taken the bait, and she only needed to wait for the result. If this went smoothly, maybe Nan Shen would remember her again. Or, even if he couldn't, he might slowly fall in love with her using this pushing and pulling tactic. Nan Shen's body turned cold when he read what Tan Hua sent. His fingers paused on his phone screen, unable to type a reply. What Tan Hua said was true. It wasn't his business where she went or with whom. Not to mention that Lan Yanjin had a very good reason to take Tan Hua to her mother's house, since his mother turned out to be Tan Hua's mother's friend. But then, why did his heart feel so heavy? He kept getting a headache and heartache when Tan Hua reminded him that it wasn't his business at all. I'll go sleep now. Thanks for the permission. After waiting a few minutes and not getting a reply from Nan Shen, Tan Hua decided to end their conversation and went to pack up her things instead. Just let Nan Shen muse over this. If he had even a tiny bit of feeling for her, he would be disturbed now. With this, she could see whether she still had a chance or not. Nan Shen gripped his phone tighter when he saw the message Tan Hua just sent. The girl didn't really care much and already wanted to go to sleep. Was it only him who was worried about this? Nan Shen didn't realize that he couldn't let go of the phone just yet. His eyes were glued to the phone screen, staring at the cold message Tan Hua had sent. Tan Hua. This girl had changed so much. As expected, she must still be angry with him, right? Before, she would message him every night to say goodnight, or just to start a conversation. Every morning, she would also greet him through chat, making her the first person he spoke to each day. But now, she didn't even say goodnight or anything. What happened to her? That night, while Tan Hua happily packed up her stuff, Nan Shen, on the other hand, couldn't sleep at all. His head was full of imaginations. He wondered what Lan Yanjin would do to Tan Hua in Europe. Would he take her to a famous place for a date and slowly win her heart? Nan Shen's heart ached again when he thought of that. He couldn't sleep all night until he decided to take a sleeping pill instead. The next morning. Have you packed up? Need me to drive you to the airport? Shenling chewed his bread as he asked Tan Hua, who was sitting across from him. No need. Lan Yanjin will pick me up. Tan Hua happily sipped her morning tea as she whistled. She still had time until 1 p.m., so she would go shopping with Mishu later. All right, be careful there. Don't follow strangers. Just stick with Lan Yanjin. But if that man dares to lay a hand on you, use this chili pepper for self-defense. Shenling couldn't help but worry as he handed Tan Hua a bottle of chili pepper he had prepared. Lan Yanjin was still a man, and all men were wolves, so he couldn't leave Tan Hua in Lan Yanjin's hands for sure. If only he could follow them, he would have already booked a ticket. A pity he couldn't due to his job. Man, don't worry. Tan Hua nodded her head and finished her breakfast so she could meet Mishu to go shopping. 10 a.m. Shenling was lying on the couch, feeling bored since Tan Hua had already gone shopping with Mishu. He didn't have any work to do until 1 p.m., so he was quite leisurely. There's nothing interesting. Shenling had just said that when suddenly a voice rang in his head, startling him. "Yeah, my friend. Feeling bored? I have interesting news for you. I assure you, my friend, you won't feel bored anymore." The voice of the god who had made a bet with Shenling suddenly rang inside his head, successfully triggering his temper. To this god? What interesting news? He bet it would only be bad news. What do you want? You already interfere with the world I manage. What more do you want now? Shenling quickly sat down as he spoke with telepathy to this other god over his head. You forgot that I still haven't exchanged someone from my world to your world? I have decided the soul I want to exchange. The god cheerfully informed Shenling about this serious matter in a leisurely attitude. Hearing his friend's words, Shenling couldn't help but frown. He had a bad feeling about this from the way his friend spoke. Just please don't add more trouble to his world. So, who will you exchange from my world? Shenling kneaded his temple as he asked his friend through telepathy. He could only hope that his friend didn't choose anyone important. It's a girl named Mi Shu from your world and from my world. A girl who was a big fan of Nan Shen? Shenling's friend paused a bit to recall the name of the person he wanted to mention. The moment Shenling heard what his friend said, he almost spat the drink he was drinking at the moment. What? Are you serious? My Shu is like the pillar of this world. How can you exchange her? Shenling subconsciously stood up as he shouted in his mind, having the urge to go meet his friend and slap him on the cheek. As long as the body is there, it's okay, right? Anyway, if the soul I exchange creates a problem, I'll immediately exchange them back. So for now, just see and watch. You won't be bored anymore. Shenling's friend reassured Shenling, saying that he would immediately exchange the soul back if the soul he brought to Shenling's world caused a problem. But if not, then just enjoy the drama. What? No, this can't. Hey. Shenling was about to refute, rejecting this absurd idea, when his friend already cut their telepathy, leaving behind nothing but his empty mind. That bastard. Shenling gritted his teeth as he clenched his fist tight, having the urge to kill his friend right away. Just what the hell was that bastard thinking? He thought it was fun to exchange someone's soul like this. Not to mention, it's Mi Shu's soul. Wait, when the heck will he change Mi Shu's soul? That bastard said that the other soul was a big fan of Nan Shen. Then won't that? No, this can't happen. No wonder that son of a gun said there would be drama, and that he just needed to sit down calmly while watching the drama. It would indeed cause a drama if Mi Shu's soul was exchanged with someone's soul who had feelings or admiration for Nan Shen and not for Ren Yuan. Oh no. What should he do? At the same time, Tan Hua had just gone to the airport, escorted by Mi Shu. The girl had told Lan Yanjin that she didn't need him to pick her up, and thus, those two met at the airport. Be careful on the way. Mi Shu waved her hand at Tan Hua, who had to go for a body check before entering the plane. The girl was worried since she didn't like Tan Hua going with Lan Yanjin, but she couldn't do anything about it. I'll call you. Tan Hua also waved her hand as she gripped her suitcase. She was both excited and worried about this trip since it had been a long time since she went abroad. Of course, she would be excited. But at the same time, she was worried because she was going with Lan Yanjin and would meet her foreign family there. She just hoped that everything would turn out well. While Tan Hua had departed, on the other hand, at the office, Nan Shen was facing a dilemma. He really wanted to book a plane ticket to follow Tan Hua, but he realized that he didn't have a reason to do that. Tan Hua wasn't his girlfriend anymore, so why the heck did he need to follow her to go to Europe? But then, if he didn't go, he was sure that he wouldn't be able to sleep peacefully at night. He was just worried that Lan Yanjin would coax Tan Hua to cooperate with his company once his contract with Tan Hua ended. Right. He wasn't worried about anything else, just the future of his company. That's it. This means he had to go to Europe, right? It was a matter concerning his company, after all. If his informant was right, Tan Hua's biological mother was in London, England. He could book a plane ticket to go there now. It's still not too late. All right, as to not make this too obvious, he should invite Ren Yuan and Mi Shu too, saying that they should go on a date abroad or something, while he followed Tan Hua for the company's sake. Perfect plan. Let's call those two now and book the plane ticket as soon as he could. Poor Nan Shen didn't know that his decision to bring Mi Shu and Ren Yuan along would backfire on him in the near future. It seemed that this trip abroad would be a lot of fun. London, England. Tan Hua stretched her head out from the car window as she looked over the Big Ben not far from their car. Her eyes were sparkling in excitement as she snapped a picture of Big Ben with her phone. She was clearly excited since it had been a long time since she visited England. Maybe 3 years ago or so. And not to mention that she had never gone abroad except to Hawaii ever since she transmigrated to this world. You like the view here? After we visit your mom, I can take you around. Lan Yanjin literally spent his childhood in this city, so he could take pride in being a local. He knew many hidden spots that tourists rarely knew. Alright, Tan Hua didn't really trust Lan Yanjin, but since the man was indeed a local, she too wanted to visit hidden places that not many people knew about. It must be exciting. She would take a break from all these matters. About Nan Shen. About her brand. Everything. She would just enjoy her time here. Well, good. Let's go to your mother's house first, Lan Yanjin whistled as he drove his car to Tan Hua's mother's place. At the same time, on the plane going to England. Mai Shu, who was sitting next to Ren Yuan, suddenly groaned in pain, making both the boys taken aback. Misha. What happened? Ren Yuan was the first one to notice what was going on with Mai Shu. He quickly called the flight attendant since he was afraid Mi Shu suddenly got sick. It's painful. My head feels dizzy. Mi Shu leaned back in her chair as she struggled to breathe. She was gasping, seemingly having difficulty breathing properly. What's wrong with Mai Shu? Nan Shen sat across from Ren Yuan, and only when Ren Yuan called for the flight attendant did he notice something was wrong with Mi Shu. The girl looked like she was in immense pain as sweat began to drip from her forehead. She shut her eyes right as she held her head. No matter what Ren Yuan said, she didn't respond to him. What happened to Mai Shu? Did she get sick all of a sudden or… Mi Shu took a deep breath and blinked her eyes right when the flight attendant came. The flight attendant was talking with Ren Yuan, asking what was wrong with Mai Shu, when the girl poked Ren Yuan's shoulder while shaking her head. Misha? Are you okay? Ren Yuan saw Mi Shu's complexion was better than before and couldn't help but sigh in relief. But just in case, he needed to know whether the girl was sick or not. She suddenly acted like she was having a heart attack after all. How could he not be worried? I'm okay. Mi Shu blinked her eyes again as she looked around her with curiosity in her eyes. It was kind of obvious that the girl seemed like she was lost in her own world. Really? Don't hesitate to tell us. Nan Shen was worried, so he moved his body closer to Ren Yuan's seat in order to see Mi Shu's face clearly. Just now, Mai Shu looked like she was in immense pain. How could she be all right? Nan Shen? When Mi Shu saw Nan Shen, her cheeks suddenly blushed red, and the girl quickly hid her face with a magazine in her hand. Yeah, it's me. Nan Shen raised his eyebrow as he looked at Ren Yuan with a questioning face. Is it only him, or did Mai Shu look a bit different than usual? I'm all right. Mai Shu gulped nervously as she leaned back into her seat with a red face. She told Ren Yuan and Nan Shen that she was a bit tired and thus needed to sleep. Sleep tight. Ren Yuan patted Mi Shu's head as he looked at Nan Shen with a questioning face too. It's not only Nan Shen who noticed that short yet strange expression Mi Shu made before. Mai Shu never blushed red when she saw Nan Shen. Maybe she was just tired, and so her face turned red. Ren Yuan and Nan Shen didn't think much about this, but little did they know that Mai Shu, they knew, was no longer there with them. Instead, there was another Mi Shu inside Mi Shu's body. Mai Shu pretended to be asleep when in fact she was awake. She waited until Ren Yuan and Nan Shen didn't look her way before secretly smiling to herself. That's Nan Shen. The real Nan Shen she only could see from her TV screen. It's not the actor, but Nan Shen himself. So, her eyes didn't deceive her. She really was transmigrated into a drama she just watched. Is this a dream? If it is, she hoped she would never wake up. After all, she finally could be in the same world as the man she admired all this time. Even though she realized she was inside Mi Shu's body, the female lead of the drama. It doesn't matter. Nan Shen had a feeling for Mi Shu, right? So it's actually a good sign for her. Nan Shen. You will be mine. Oh God. She really didn't know how she ended up here, but since she could meet Nan Shen, she would make sure to choose Nan Shen instead of Ren Yuan. The male lead wasn't actually better than Nan Shen, the second male lead. She had to make sure Nan Shen became her man in the end. She was sure that she got transmigrated to this world, just like a light novel scene for a reason, and that is to be with Nan Shen. This is fate. Wow, this house is huge. Tan Hua had just arrived at her mother's house, and the moment she saw it from the outside, she couldn't help but gasp in awe. The house looked similar to her house in her original world. The building adopted a vintage Western style with pearl white walls. There was a big garden with so many different plants in the front yard, ready to receive any guests coming to this place. From here we gotta walk. Lan Yanjin went out of the car as he looked at the massive gate blocking their way. It had been a tradition for guests to stop at the front gate and walk their way to the house. Of course, for the elderly, there was a mini car inside they could use to get to the main house. But for youngsters, they had to take their time to admire the garden along the way to the house. I don't mind walking while admiring this garden. Tan Hua saw Lan Yanjin get out of the car, so she too quickly got off. Lan Yanjin then gave his car key to his hidden bodyguard before stretching his hand to Tan Hua, acting like a real gentleman. Shall we? Lan Yanjin smiled as he gave his hand to Tan Hua in a very smooth movement. It seemed that Lan Yanjin did have the manners of British people, unlike his usual brazen self. Tan Hua placed her hand on Lan Yanjin's hand, knowing that this was the polite gesture in British culture. The tradition, of course. She bet that a rich family like this still adopted the older generation of British culture. Since she was in England now, it wasn't so bad to follow the local custom of the rich people. 15 minutes later. Okay, we're here. Lan Yanjin stopped his step right when they arrived in front of the big door of the house. They walked for 15 minutes to get to the main house, and looking closer, even the door was huge. Tan Hua began to doubt whether this was a palace or a mere mansion of rich people. How could it be so big? I forgot to tell you. Your stepfather is the prime minister of this country. Lan Yanjin was all smiles as he suddenly dropped a bombshell just when Tan Hua was wondering about the Lorridge family's history. He prime minister? But mom said her family is… wait. Her family owns a big company, but her current husband's family. Tan Hua broke out in a cold sweat when Lan Yanjin mentioned the prime minister. Since her mother was the daughter of a big company, she thought her stepfather would also own a company or something. But who would have thought that her stepfather was a prime minister? The Raj isn't the prime minister of England. Right, wait. This is a world inside a drama. Even though everything might look similar, it's actually different. How come she just remembered this now? So, she was going to meet the prime minister of this country then? Not to mention, it's her stepfather. Won't there be a scandal or something? No. She hoped there would be no scandal. I'll press the bell now, Lan Yanjin chuckled, seeing Tan Hua suddenly panic. The girl quickly tidied up her pastel one-piece dress, afraid that she would appear shabby when in fact, in his eyes, Tan Hua was always cute, no matter what she wore. Hey, Tan Hua is so cute. Now that they visited her mother's house, he would make sure to execute his plan. If everything went smoothly, his parents should already be inside the house before him. All right. Tan Hua gulped nervously as she waited for Lan Yanjin to press the bell. Lan Yanjin had just pressed the doorbell when the door suddenly opened and a beautiful lady appeared from inside.